Okay, so good morning to you all. Uh, your first session is just over, and I hope it must be a very joyful ride for you, last 1.5 hours. And you are fresh enough to listen to me also. I hope so. And the topic I am going to take up is very relevant for individual, for you and me. What Professor K.V. Reddy was talking about was on national politics. We all are going to be affected by the national policies and national politics. We should know all about those things. But at the same time, we should know about ourselves also. So how our money is being managed, how we can handle those things. So my topic is on that point only, how to manage our own finance. So personal finance only. Okay, so I hope I am audible to you all. Anyone just confirm? So I start, I go for the screen share. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, sir. You can see it.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so friends, I'm seeing some 135 participants here. It's a good gathering from different corners of the country. And this topic is very interesting. But the only problem is when we talk about finance, when we talk about money, everyone gets initially interested in that topic because our money is involved. But then we start feeling that it is too boring or too heavy to understand all those concepts. But the way I will treat this topic, I hope will be interesting to you because I'm not going to take very tough kind of things, very complicated things. What I will talk is very, very simple things, very topics for you to understand. And I will give some examples also, which where you will relate it or you can implement it with yourself. Okay, so let's start this joyful journey. I hope so. And if you have any questions, you can Q&A box so that I may get it later on. So let's go further. Let's see first what is personal financial management. So personal financial management is nothing but it is an attempt to understand individuals' financial situations, my own financial situation, your own personal financial situation. Why we want to understand these things? So that I can make most of this day-to-day life or day-to-day money matters. I can take care of those things, and with help of that, I can manage my future finances. So it's starting with a very small thing, but it goes beyond many other things. So we'll see how much it is spread over. And it's very easy, very interesting part also, provided you take interest in that. And I hope everyone should take interest in that. Okay, so let's go further. Let's see what we are going to cover in today's talk. So we are going to cover all these aspects, savings and investments. We'll talk about expenses, little bit on expenses. I will talk about financial protection, something on tax planning and on retirement planning, what we should talk about. I used to say retirement planning actually should start before we start planning for savings and investments because as soon as our first salary hits our account, we should start working on retirement planning. It may be a little late for you because you already are there in your job and you are expecting for your promotion. So if you have not yet started planning for your retirement, you may be a little late. But late is better than never. So start it from today only. But anyway, we'll reach there later on. Let's start with savings and investment and start with the small amounts and grow it a big wealth with help of that. It looks very easy to say. Many times you must have heard this kind of statements. Start with a small and go for a big wealth. But actually, it is happening or not, that we will see in next few slides. So savings and investments, two things I told here. Savings is first step and investment is second step. Unless you take the first step, you cannot go for the second step. First step is saving, and saving is nothing but saving some amount out of our disposable income. You got certain income, certainly your expenses are there, so those expenses you have to meet. But after the end of the period, some money is left over with you. Wise thing is don't save the thing which is left after expenses. it's advisable to save money before you make some expenses. At least a small portion of your income should be saved beforehand, and then only you should go for expenses. And then again, if something is left over, that should also go for your savings. Okay, so savings, main purpose of saving is to keep a money aside, that if some urgency comes, some emergency need comes, then you can immediately meet it. Otherwise, the whole finance will collapse if you are not having this kind of safeguard. So what you can do is, first step you have to do is you save, you identify what is your expenses, monthly expenses, and then multiply it by 3 to 6, any number that depends. And that much of money should be kept in emergency. That should be or your savings. And savings means it should be very, very liquid. Liquid doesn't mean hard cash. You can keep it in some places where you can withdraw it easily. It doesn't take much time to withdraw. Okay, so what you can do for this is you can use saving bank account up to some extent, not full amount. Then you can use fixed deposits, FDs, or you can use debt instruments. Debt instruments are actually mutual funds. You can use some mutual funds for your emergency needs. Fine. And actually, combination of all these three should be used, but preference may be given to liquid funds. For I'm talking about emergency fund. So emergency fund means you don't know you require it after 1 week, or you don't know you may require it after 1 decade. It's not very clear to us. So that is the concept of liquid emergency fund. So that should be kept in liquid fund. Why liquid fund? Because liquid fund is able to give you a return higher than saving bank account and fixed deposits. First thing. Second thing, it is little tax efficient, not much, but little tax efficient it is as compared to saving banks and fixed deposits. And third thing is, it's not having very high risk. Although risk is more as compared to saving account and fixed deposits. In debt funds, because it is a mutual fund, it is risk is there, but risk is not that much if you wisely select a particular mutual fund after studying the whole big lot of funds available to invest with. Right? So use some liquid funds. It is called liquid fund, not all debt fund. Go for liquid funds. Right? Okay, then second step is for going investing. Putting money in liquid fund is also a kind of investment, but you are going to use that fund for emergency purpose only. And it may be very, very close, maybe next week only, or maybe 5, 10 years away from us. So that is just for saving to meet that. Investment is for particular goal, which is 1 year, 3 years, 5 year, 10 years, or 20 years away. And you are having certain plan for that. I know today that when I am going to retire, so I will plan for my retirement. I want, or I may plan that in which year I want to purchase a house. So I will plan for that. I can plan that in next 2 or 3 years or 5 years, I want to purchase a car. I can plan for that. Okay, so those things I need to plan, and accordingly I have to save for that. I have to invest money for that. Fine. So what you can do for this investment, you can use shares, you can use mutual funds, you can invest in real estate if a bigger amount is there and long-term needs are there, or you can invest in gold also. Anything is fine. But to begin with, to start with, equity mutual funds are better. Considering the fact that you can start investment in mutual fund with as low as 100 rupees only. You can invest only 100 rupees in equity fund, which is not possible in gold and real estate and shares. Shares also it is somehow possible. So you can start with a small amount. So that is one thing. And chances of growth is high for mutual funds, equity mutual funds. But with risk, obviously risk is there. So you have to compare the risk, how much risk you can tolerate with, and other things. And you should diversify your investment in this. Okay, so what you can do here is, first thing, you identify a goal, a smart goal you should set. Okay, a goal which is measurable, which is reachable, which is specific. That kind of goal you should set, and you start saving for that kind of achieving that. Okay, let's go further. These are some mutual fund schemes which you can choose for your purpose. If your goal is very short term means up to 6 months or so, go for overnight funds or liquid funds. Overnight fund is actually overnight. It is for one day only. So there are some mutual funds, debt securities, which matures in one day only. So if you choose an overnight fund, that will mature in one day. Today you are investing the amount, tomorrow it will mature. Although money will not paid back to you, it will remain in your mutual fund and it will be reinvested in another security for another one day, then another one day, and then another one day. It will continue like that. But that security where this fund will invest will be maturing in within one day. So in that case, risk is very, or you can say it is negligible risk is there because one day chances are very less that anything big will happen. Okay, but you can go for liquid fund also, which may invest in securities which range up to 91 days. Okay, for 3 months. And after when it matures, then it will be reinvested in another security which may mature within 3 months, 91 days. So 3 months also is a small window. So chances of any loss, chances of any great thing happening in this are less. So risk level is less in both these things. So for short-term goals, go for liquid fund or overnight funds. Okay. Then if your goal is short term, means up to 3 years, then go for short duration funds. Up to 3 years, they gave 1 to 3 years. If your goals are for 5 years, it is midterm, then go for you. Now you are having little more options available in mutual fund, like hybrid funds you can use. You can use ELSS, equity linked saving schemes. It is good for tax saving also under Section 80C. And banking and PSU debt funds. Okay, so those things will be good for medium term. And if your horizon is long term, going 5 years or more, 10 years, 15 years, then go for multi-cap funds, which invest in large cap, mid cap, and small cap. NPS, National Pension Scheme, and I hope many of you or maybe all of you may be member of this NPS. But this is can be used only for retirement, not for other goals. And large cap funds also you can go. Right? So these are uh, actually there are many other kind of mutual funds available. But broadly, these four categories we can use for our investment to begin with. Okay. But usually the question comes whenever anyone talks about savings, first thing comes in our mind is I don't have money, where to save, how to initiate with. Is okay. So ask yourself one simple question. That question is, do you keep track of your expenses? Are you tracking your expenses? If yes, then think, can you reduce your spending by 10%? And it is possible. In every case, it is possible to reduce your expenses by 10%. If not 10%, 7% you can reduce. Use that 7%, that 10% for initiating your investments, right? So here you can start with, that is one baby step you can start with for investment. Okay, let's see further. Let's take one example to understand it. Usually whenever we talk about SIP, security, systematic investment plan, usually one question comes that these are only things which is coming in talks, in literature, in the news TV, news channels, and all these things are coming, but actually it is working. So let's see whether it can work or not. So let's see how to start, how to create wealth with help of mutual fund. Fine. So let's take one simple example and let's try to visualize that kind of thing. From where, from scratch, you can do what? These are some hypothetical figures based on certain calculations. So age, I'm assuming 30 years. Many of you are nearly this age only. Then retirement age is, I'm assuming 60 years. Central government teachers, central government universities are 65 years. Some state governments are even 58 years or 62 years. That is okay, but for simplicity, let's assume 60. Life expectancy is 80 years, means surviving up to 80 years. I'm assuming one thing that your monthly expenses are 35,000. Okay. And I'm assuming inflation is 7%. As of now, it is little less than this, but sometime it goes beyond 10% also, or sometime it goes near 3% also. So it keeps on going up and down, but 7% is assumed that it will remain on an average over 30 years. Then if I'm investing some amount, I'm assuming 12% return will be there. Okay. And after retirement, you will invest some amount and it will generate 8% return. That I'm assuming. These are assumed figures. And all these assumptions are very realistic, except little bit on this 12%. 12% may be little higher. If 30 years duration is there, it is possible to generate 12%. Usually funds are generating 12%. But 10% is ideal. 10, 11% is ideal to assume. Anyway, start with 12%. And one thing also, I'm assuming that you have not yet started any saving for retirement purpose or whatever be the purpose. Nil savings is there in this. Okay, let's see this situation again. 30 years, 35 years is your monthly expenses today, and you will retire after 30 years. So in 30 years, magic of inflation, actually it is curse only, of inflation is your monthly expenses will be 2,66,429. So expenses will escalate to that level, right? It is monthly. So annual expenses will go nearly 32 lakh rupees per annum. Okay, that big amount will be there. Now you are creating a corpus so that you can maintain your retirement, post-retirement period, 20, 25 years of that age. Fine. So what you have to do is you have to create a fund which is of this much of magnitude, nearly 6 crore. Okay. This is nearly 6 crore, 5.9 crore rupees corpus or 5.9 crores fund required to generate 32 lakh rupees annual pension from that. It looks very difficult to achieve that task, but not that difficult actually. You can generate it with monthly investment of 16,606 only if you are generating 12% return, right? Or lump sum of 16 lakh 30,000. You invest lump sum today and leave it at 12% for next 30 years, it will generate 5.9 crore roughly. Fine. It's not very difficult if you plan properly and you complete, you go on that line. Fine. So you can take some screenshots if you find it very interesting. Anyway, some recording also, I think you will get copy of recording. Okay. But whenever we talk about mutual fund, first thing comes in our mind is that asterisk mark is there always. And it mentions that mutual fund investments are subject to market risk. Past performance may or may not sustain in the future. This warning used to come. And as soon as we read this news, we got afraid of this and we leave. We don't like to see on that line, no, no, risk is there. And this product itself is telling risk is there. But still, I am suggesting you to go for that. Why so? Isn't it? So let's see. Statutory warning that is always there. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risk. We get some other kind of warnings also. Let's see some of the warnings. Isn't it? Many of us among this group, maybe some smokers may be there. When they purchase packs of cigarette, it is mentioned there, it is the health warning is there. And very big bold letters are there. But still they smoke, isn't it? We don't care. If there is no policeman on the roads, we don't wear helmet. Helmet is for our safety. It is not for showing to policemen, isn't it? But we ignore that kind of warnings. So all those things we are ready to do. But when the mutual fund is telling risk is there, we want to get afraid of that, isn't it? So think it over this. And before this investment in mutual fund, first quit smoking and then start mutual fund. Okay. Why I'm telling then start? Because I'm taking next example on this line only. I'm assuming a person is there who is a smoker and he purchases one packet of cigarette for 250 rupees. I'm taking very realistic example. You will, even if you are not smoking, you can correlate with, you can see the things. So his monthly expenses is because he's consuming 2 packs per week. So in a month, 8 packs. So total expenses will be 2,000 rupees on cigarette itself, isn't it? Okay. Now I'm suggesting him to quit smoking So 2000 additional saving is there, what he was investing in cigarettes. I'm suggesting him to invest this 2000 rupees in a mutual fund for 30 years. Monthly deposit 2000 rupees. Then one additional thing I am assuming, which is very realistic, that investment will generate 12% interest over 30 years, possible to get up to that level. And this 10% increase is also there. Means, prices everywhere is increasing. So I'm assuming that 10% price of cigarette will increase every year. So increase this 2000 by 10% every year. Okay, this year you are investing 2000 per month. Next year start investing 200 per month. Then again start 2220 per month. Okay, like that you increase it. Okay, then if you do this regularly, then what happens is you will generate a 1.2 crore corpus. 1.2 crore, mind it. What you left is cigarettes. It will save your health. But in return, what you are getting is one thing is your health. And second thing you are getting is 1.2 crore rupees wealth you are creating just by quitting cigarette. This may be a reason to quit immediately. Think of this. And I hope most of you are not smokers. So take a screenshot and share with those who are smokers among your friend circle or your family members. Okay, but let's expand the same example little more beyond, and you will see that why we don't save actually. It is actually very easy to save. I'm assuming age 25 of a person who is addict of some junk foods and all, and assuming 75 years of age, he will survive. So some 50 years are there. I'm assuming inflation of 7% and return of 12%, as I have assumed earlier also. Calculations are actually simulation only. So for simulation, we need to assume some figures. So these are just simulations. Okay. Now, what are the bad habits? Those bad habits I'm going to take in account here is tobacco, alcohol, junk foods, these three things only. Okay. And many of us, either one or second junk food, actually, most of us are taking some maybe tobacco. So I'm assuming how much monthly expenses or weekly expenses are there. So for tobacco, I'm assuming 10 rupees per day, very, very realistic amount, I hope. Alcohol, I'm assuming 500 per week. It must be reasonable. I don't know the price. And junk food, 100 rupees per day. Junk food is anything what we get in our college or university canteens. Samosa or cold drinks, pizza, burger, momo, all those things are on that line only. If we quit these things at this small amounts, what we will generate? We will generate a big corpus of 36 crore rupees just by quitting these three things. So if you don't quit, if you make it half at least, still 15, 20,000 crore rupees you will save. You will generate by quitting some bad habits only, isn't it? Leave about you what you can save additionally. Same thing, same amount you can save additionally, and you can save it. That's true, but possibilities are there. Fine. Okay. Usually, one question used to come on this line that if you are not using tobacco and alcohol, where is your 36 crore rupees? Obviously, that question is genuine. Reason is I am not investing that amount, that additional amount. That is the problem. So we need some disciplined life. Quit this and invest it one place. Then only will generate. So I'm discussing with you, but I myself is not that regular in that kind of saving. Okay, but these examples tells us that it is very, very possible to achieve those things. Fine. So that's all something on investments. Someone in chat box is asking how to calculate the total return after 30 years maturing in mutual fund. As for that, actually, a long formula is there. One simple formula is there, compound interest formula you can use. Okay, simple compound interest formula you can use. Or if detailed you want to, so what I have used is not that simple calculation of only compound interest. It includes the increase, monthly increase or annual increase and inflation rate. 4, 5 things has been included in that. So that formula becomes little longer. So difficult to explain at this point because many other things I have to discuss with. But you can simply search on Google. Just Google it, mutual fund maturity amount calculator, and you will get this kind of calculators. So it will give you some simplified way to calculate all those things. I hope Mr. Ghosh must have got the point. Okay, let's see something on our expenses. If we wisely make our expenditures, we can save a lot of money on that. Let's see. I will take only 1 or 2 slides on expenses, and that will explain you how or why I am using the word Jago Grahak Jago. Be aware. So I'm taking one example of Clinic Plus shampoo. All of you, either you or someone in your family must be using this kind of Clinic shampoo. If you see, if you compare these two packs, what is given here in the picture, one is small sachet, which is of 1 rupee each, 6 ml, and this box bottle with 650 ml, which is costing 325 rupees. Right? Usually, since beginning, since our childhood, it has been taught us that if we purchase anything in bulk, we save money. Okay, let's see how much saving we are doing by going for this. Actually, the price of this 325 should be only 108 if 1 ml, if 6 ml is 1 rupee. So if you go for the bigger pack, actually you are paying 200% costlier amount. 200% more you are paying. So why to go for that bottle? Go for sachets and save money, isn't it? It's very simple as this. Instead of purchasing, pay 325, pay 108 for same amount of thing. Is okay? Okay, let's see. It's not only one thing. There are many such examples in the market if you see. Now it is Nescafe. Same thing. Bigger pack and a smaller pack. 7.5 gram, 10 rupees, 50 gram, 130 rupees. Actually, the bigger pack should be of only 67 rupees at that rate. So nearly 200% again, double, more than double you are paying for that. So why to go for bigger pack? Go for a smaller pack. If you ask the marketers why they are doing this kind of thing, so they say that it is not based on only packs. Actually, this is promotion thing is there. So for promotion, so that people start using it, for that purpose they are using. But I'm seeing this promotion going on since last 10-15 years. What is this what kind of this promotion is there which continues for 10-15 years, isn't it? You must have seen the market like this. Okay, so let's go further. Lot of such cases are there. I'm taking two more such case and see how much costly we are paying. 200, 195%, 320% more. What should be of 21 rupees only, they are charging 67 rupees. These are marketing gimmicks because at childhood we have been taught that purchasing in bulk saves money. And these marketers are actually utilizing that wisdom what we have got to misguide us. So don't get misguided. When you are purchasing the things, first just compare the price per unit price of these things and accordingly you take your decision. And that will be a big saving. This saving you can direct towards investment. And that will further generate certain returns for you. I give you one more tip for investment. If you are purchasing anything on Amazon or Flipkart or any other thing, so compare different sites before purchasing. And after purchase, you will realize that you are making good savings. From print price, if you are purchasing from market and purchasing online, you are saving some 10, 15, 20, 30%, isn't it? That much amount you have saved, but you assume that you have spent that amount also and put that amount into a mutual fund and forget it because anyway you are going to purchase this for 100 rupees. You got it for say 65 only. 35 rupees you have saved. Invest that 35 rupees in a mutual fund and assume that you have paid 100 rupees. After 10-15 years, this 35 rupees may become 3,500 rupees or 3,000, 35,000 rupees, who knows. Okay, so baby step you can take towards saving. Let's go further. And now let's see about the risk involved if some natural calamity is there. or some other kind of things happens which is beyond our control. So what we can do is, if you cannot prevent it, and we know that we cannot prevent natural calamities, so at least we can be prepared for it, isn't it? So go for life insurance, go for property insurance or some other insurance on that, right? So that is one message. If you are going for any kind of financial planning for yourself, okay, if we are doing any financial planning, then first thing is to go for insurance, because everything is there, but insurance is not there. What we are planning is, what different examples I gave so far is monthly investment, do 16,000 rupees per month savings and you generate 6 crore rupees. But monthly for next 30 years, if you are able to save, then only it is possible. But if anything happens before that, what will happen to the dependents? Because you have not planned for that purpose. So plan for insurance, go for life insurance, go for other insurances, health insurance and property insurance. Fine. So I will focus more on life insurance, but other things are not at all less important. Life insurance is the basic thing. You cannot actually ignore life insurance at all. So basically, these three things you should, as an individual, go for: life insurance, health insurance, and property insurance. Uh, Health insurance is if someone gets hospitalized, some critical illness is there, then in that case, this policy will pay you till up to the amount of insurance, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh, whatever it is. Fine. So that way you can use your health insurance. Property insurance, if you are purchasing car, it is mandatory to take third party insurance, isn't it? You cannot ignore it. But otherwise also, instead of third party, usually people go for comprehensive. If anything happens to my car, I should also get some compensation so that I can purchase a new one, isn't it? So go for that also. But life insurance at all costs you have to go for. First thing is life insurance. And if anyone among you is not yet taken life insurance, after this class, do first thing, check on internet where you can purchase a good policy. Start comparing, and within this week or within next 10 days, purchase one insurance policy. Which insurance policy is next question. So that you can do, it's called term plan. Don't take any other plan for any other purpose. If insurance is there, life insurance is there, go only and only and only for term plan. Why I am telling so? I will give you with example. So let's compare term plan with some other plans. Okay. Okay. So I'm assuming I'm taking one example. Age is 30 years of an insured, and he's taking insurance for 35 years, means 65 years of age, and some assured he's taking 50 lakh rupees. Right? He's having many options. He can go for a new Jeevan Anand policy, LIC New Jeevan Anand. I'm using only LIC example so that as of now, till now at least, it is government owned. Very soon it is going to be privatized, but as of now it is government owned. So I'm using that example only so that it may be comparable. So what you have to pay is, for this much of insurance, you have to pay 1,52,852 rupees per annum. Right? Or otherwise, monthly you can pay 13,000 rupees per month. What you get is, this is insurance. If anything happens to you, 50 lakh rupees insurance is there. If it matures, at maturity, you will be getting 2.5 crore rupees. 2 crore 49 lakh rupees. Okay. And lifelong insurance will remain there, 50 lakh rupees. So even after 65 years of age, your policy will mature, but cover will continue till long. It will remain up to 100, 105, whenever you, till then you will survive. Whenever casualty happens, your dependent will be getting 50 lakh. Very good policy, isn't it? But premium is little high. Okay, let's take one more example for term plan. This is sorry, it's not term plan. These are endowment or money back policies. Term plan. It is not term plan. This is endowment plan. So, and I see new endowment plan. This is also endowment. This is also endowment plan. Endowment plan means with benefits. So, if anything happens in the period, then some assured is being paid. And if person survives whole period, then some benefits means some savings, some returns on that will be paid. So these amounts are actually return on that. Okay, and insurance is one thing. Fine. Now next is another policy is there, new endowment plan. Here you have to pay 1,38,202 per annum or little less than 12,000 per month for same insurance. Difference between first and second policy is maturity benefit is 2 lakh 57, sorry, 2 crore 57 lakh rupees. Here it was 2 lakh, 2.5 lakh. Here it is nearly 2.6 crores. Fine, a small difference is there, but lifelong insurance is not available. This lifelong insurance of 50 lakh rupees, which was available for Jeevan Avan, is not available for endowment, and that's why this amount is little less, premium is little less. Fine. Got the point? These are endowment plans. And now let us compare these endowment plans with uh, a term plan. So this is one term plan. I'm again taking LIC only so that we can compare it easily. LIC e-term plan, you can purchase this online. Search yourself. Don't ask anyone else. Just compare that, not only LIC, you can go for some 23 companies are there. Compare their policies and accordingly, when you are confident, then only you purchase it, any of the policy. Okay, but don't take any benefit, any help of any commission agents. Go directly, see everything yourself. For same condition, 30 years of age, 35 years of coverage, and 50 lakh coverage, what you have to pay here is only less than 10,000 rupees, 9,663 rupees annually, not monthly. Annually, you are paying. Okay, annually you are paying that much of amount for 50 lakh rupees. Okay, maybe a little surprising for you, but actually the problem here is if you survive whole period, you get nothing. Zero benefit is given back. In this case, 2.5 crore you were getting, but in term plan you get nothing. Zero benefit is given back if you survive. But if you survive, be happy that you survived whole the period. Why to bother, isn't it? Plus, wisely if you plan, this much is your monthly saving. I'm assuming this figure. Okay. If you deduct this amount out of this 1,38,000, if you deduct nearly 10,000 rupees and divide that amount by 12, so monthly income, monthly savings will come. This will come nearly this much amount, 10,700. Okay. If you save this 10,700 rupees in a mutual fund, which can generate 8.5% return, which is very genuine. 8.5 you can easily generate over 35 years, right? So your saving will mature with 2.8 crore rupees. Here it was 2.5 crore. Here it was 2.6 crore. Here it is 2.8 crore. So higher. Same benefits you are getting from insurance, and your purpose is bigger, return is bigger. So why to go for endowment plan? Why should I go for term plan? And term plan is able to give you even more. If you are lucky enough to get 15% return, which is little higher to assume, but if it is so, 15 crore rupees, compare with 2.5 crore, it is 15 crore rupees you can earn on this amount. Fine. But none of the uh, LIC agents will tell you about term plan. If at all, if you force them to tell you about term plans, they will never tell you about e-term plans. This is online term plans. So it will be issued online only. You have to book it online. One medical test will be there. For that, you have to go to some diagnostic center. And then your policy will be generated. Hard copy will be emailed to you, and hard copy will be mailed to you, and soft copy will be on email. That simple thing is there. Fine. So if you have not yet taken policy or if you have not taken term plan, immediately shift over term plan today itself. Right? Okay. Now let's compare online and offline. Why I'm telling don't consult any agents because they will convince you always to go for offline. Let's compare term plan online and offline and let's see what is the difference between these two. Two plans I'm taking here. First plan is for 24 lakh rupees insurance for 25 years. So Jeevan LIC Anmol Jeevan 2 plan is there, which is taking per annum premium of 9,546. Survival benefit is zero. Right? And if you go for e-term plan, what we have seen in previous example also, for this much of sum for 25 years, you have to pay premium of 4,663. Means you are saving 407 rupees per month, right? Invest it, and if you are able to get 12% return, you will be getting 7,72,000 rupees. Insurance is same. Amount out of your pocket is same, but you are getting 7,72,000 rupees additionally. Harm in that. Why to go for offline? Go for online. Okay. Let's take one more example. Here it is for 50 lakh rupees. And another policy is there, Amul Jeevan 2. Here your payment is 15,281 per annum, not month, per annum. Survival benefit is nil. If you survive whole period, no benefit is given in that. If anything happens, 50 lakh rupees insurance is there. Right? Instead of that, go for LIC e-term plan. 9663 is the return premium here. So this much of monthly saving is there. Invest it. If you earn 12% on this, 30 lakh rupees will be the maturity amount. So if you survive, you get 30 lakh. If anything happens, family will get 50 lakh. In offline case, you are paying. If you are surviving, you are not getting anything. So why to go for offline? Go for online policy. Fine. Got the concept. So keep your eyes open. Search for the products available in the market, and then only you go for any kind of choice. Okay. Some questions are there on mutual funds, SIP, and share market. So I will take it in very short because the investment part we have already discussed a little bit. Share market is a market. If I have to purchase potato, where I will go? Potato market, isn't it? I have to purchase medicine, I will go to medicine market, medicine shop. If I have to purchase equity share, where I will go? Equity market. So equity market is share market, a market where equity shares or mutual funds and all these kind of investments products are being sold and purchased. So that is share market. Mutual fund is actually a portfolio. It is not one product. It is say I can purchase equity share of 5 companies. Okay, company A, company B, company C, company D, and company E. Okay, but individually I have to follow all those 5 items, and out of this, one may be very high price. If I give you one example, MRF Limited. After this class, you may search about MRF. One share of MRF is nearly 70,000 or 75,000. A single share of MRF. You cannot purchase a single share of MRF, but you want to invest in that. How can you do it? Don't purchase it individually. Make a group of 100, 200%, all your friends together. Let all of them invest 5,000, 10,000 rupees, 10,000 only. 100 of your friends, 10,000 rupees. Everyone has contributed 1 lakh. You can invest, isn't it? Whatever benefits are coming, you can distribute among themselves. So that is mutual fund. So many people combine together, join their money, and a bigger amount is created, and that is invested in equity shares or debt mutual funds. So fund is created, and that is directly invested in equity shares. You can directly purchase equity shares, but not many things because resources individually are less. So mutual fund is actually combination of many equity shares. Fine. Now SIP. SIP is actually not a product. It is a vehicle. SIP stands for Systematic Investment Plan. So recurring deposit, you all are very well aware of recurring deposits. So recurring deposit is what we used to do is every month I have to deposit fixed amount, 1,000. So every month, 1,000 I have to deposit. Fine. Same thing is SIP. Every month on a particular day, a particular fixed amount is invested in a particular mutual fund. It becomes SIP. Okay. So it is not different from recurring deposit, but recurring deposit is in banks, and return is given as per fixed deposits around 5%. But this will invest in mutual fund. So you decide a date, you decide the price, date, decide a mutual fund, and decide amount, and this will be automatically generated. Okay. One question more came from Mr. Ghosh, that is quality of small packs same as compared with big packs. So as per their claim, marketers claim same product is there. There is no difference between the products. It is exactly same. There is no difference at all there. Now someone is asking that is there any specific reason why the online and offline plans differ so much in return benefits? Genuine question, very, very genuine question. Deliberately, I left this point. Think online means I am directly dealing with company. And think of offline, I am not dealing with company. I am dealing with one agent, and agent is dealing with the company. Why this agent is there in the picture? Middleman is there in the picture. He needs some benefits, isn't it? Why he is working? For some commission, and he is taking commission not from you, he's taking commission from the company. So company has to pay commission to the agent. Obviously company will not pay out of the pocket, so company will charge from me, company will collect this amount, and then it will be paid back to him. Sometime in certain cases it is even up to 25% of premium. If you take examples of ULIP, unit links plans, up to 25% commission is being paid in that case. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the slides, what we were talking about. Many questions I have taken. Okay, now let's go to next. Let's compare now within term plans. There are two variants are there: pure term plan and return of premium. I'm telling nothing will mature if you survive, but some marketers come to pick on that. Actually, they feel that if they pay some money, we get attracted towards that. If I say that term plan you get no money back, you are discouraged. So this plan is introduced. Okay, pay for 30 years. If you serve, if a person dies, then maturity is there, that insurance is there. But if he survives, in that case, whole of the premium, whatever you have paid throughout the life, will be paid back to you. Okay, let's take this example also, and let's see how better this plan is. Some assured, I'm assuming 10 lakh. I searched for LIC some plan on return of premium. I couldn't get that thing. So I have taken some other company, but company name I am not telling because it is a private company. I don't want to take any name here. So, but I'm comparing this pure term of same company with return of premium of same company so that amounts are comparable. So term plan insurance premium is 2,751. For 10 years you have to pay, and total premium you have paid is 27,510. Right? But if you are going for return of premium, then your insurance premium is 32,195. 10 years means 3,21,950 rupees you are supposed to pay. But don't worry, because finally this 3,20,000 will be refunded back to you, whole amount. In this case, you get nothing. But here you will get whole of this amount back. So let's see how better this plan is or whether it is good or not. So what you get as refund is 3,21,950. But if you go for this, you invest this savings. This is actually the saving. You are paying here higher amount, 32,000. Here it is only 2,700. So difference amount, if you invest at 12%, you will be getting 5,69,000. But this plan will give you only 3,21,000. Why to go for this? You say 12% is too high. Okay, 4%. It is too less actually. If you go to post office saving bank account, they give guaranteed 4% return on saving bank account. It will generate 3.6 lakh. Here it is only 3.2 lakh. Okay, so don't go for return of premium, but don't keep that money with you. Save, invest it. Okay, I hope all these points must be very, very clear to you. So let's now go to next. Anyway, let's see one more thing for smokers again. I don't like smoking, so many examples on that line. Okay, if a smoker is there and he is going for term plan, and if a non-smoker is there, is going for term plan. Rest all things are same, only smoking is the difference. Premium are charged differently. Non-smoker premium is 9,663 per annum. And if it is, they call it aggregate category. So if a smoker is there, premium is 12,978, nearly 13,000. Right? Everything is same except smoking. If you invest this amount, 3,115, you will get a return of nearly 80 lakh rupees on insurance. You are getting insurance for a purpose. And if you are not a smoker, then that much of benefits for you. I think I've given many reasons to quit if any one of you are. smoker. Now, this example I'm giving why we should go for insurance. Car insurance is a must, isn't it? I have taken one example for my own personal example. Car sum assured is this much, 3,35,995. Premium I'm supposed to pay is 13,157, which is 3.92%. This is 3.92% of this amount, right? And if I go for term plan, e-term plan actually, so for 50 lakh insurance, I am paying only 16,638, which is only 0.34% of the insurance coverage. Even then, if we are not taking term plan, I don't think any other reason is there for which you will go for. So immediately after this class, go for term plan. Fine. Okay, now let's talk about tax planning. Some of the question above also came for tax planning purpose also. So let's see. I'll not go for very long discussion on tax, but some idea I will be giving you. Someone is asking about NPS Tier 1, Tier 2. So that I will discuss when we reach. Next topic is on retirement only. So let's see tax planning now. So tax planning, first thing, let's see, two regimes are there since last year, new regime and old regime. So old method of tax rates and new regime. Okay, so let's compare how these two are different. So these are the classification of amount. These are for old regime up to 60 years age. All of you, including me, all are under this category. Then after retirement, 60 to 80 years, this category, and more than 60, more than 80, senior citizens, 80 plus is this category. And new regime is like this. Okay. So if you see, it looks like if you compare it, here it is all 20%. But in new regime, only 10% and 15% is there. Half 10% and remaining half 15%, which is less than 20%. Okay. And in this category, all 30% for old regime, but new is 25, 20 and 25% is there. So if you compare these things on this line, you will find that new regime is very good, but actually it is not that much clear. Reason is, if you go for new tax regime, there is no benefits of savings and investments are given, no deductions allowed. Okay, so in that case, your total taxable income becomes high because no deduction is there. So your tax will be little higher on that. And here some deductions are there, so taxable income is lesser, so tax will be little lesser. But our government is very good in mathematics modeling; they are perfect. If you compare these two, taxes are coming nearly same amount. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 difference only is there. So keep one thing in mind: if you are having home loan, surely go for old regime. And if you don't have any other kind of saving, no home loan and no other savings, only that mandatory deductions are there from your salary, go for new regime. Okay, if you are having savings and other things, including if home loan is there, sure, go for old regime. Okay, okay, let's see some other uh, savings where we can save. Tax planning. First thing is what is very common also. We know it about this HRA. 10, section 10, 13A is there for HRA. HRA says that there are three conditions are there. Actual HRA paid, 10% of rent paid minus 10% of salary minus rent paid, and 50% of or 40% of your salary depending on your residence, metros or non-metros. Fine. So lower amount is exempted in that. So if you fall under any of this category, you claim that much of deduction. If you are living in a rented house and you are getting HRA, then you check on these lines. But my calculation says that because last pay revision, last two pay revisions, sixth and previous one, pay has been increased, but this combination, those calculations remained same. So because of that, actually, it's going beyond that. So no benefits are actually being getting. So anyway, before paying anything, check these three criteria. And if you are falling under this, you have to claim this, right? But for that, you have to produce PAN number of your house owner. And if you are paying more than 1 lakh rupees annually, then that will be there. And he will be paying tax on that. Okay, the next is interest on home loan. If you have taken home loan, whatever amount as principal you are paying, principal amount of your loan you are paying, then it will be covered under section 80C. And interest part of that, whatever interest you are paying on that loan, that is covered under section 24. Okay, so it is up to up to 2 lakh rupees. So interest in your installment on home loan up to 2 lakh is deductible for all. Okay, let's see third balloon now, and it will actually extension of the previous one. This third balloon is telling section 80 double E. If you have taken loan in the year 2016-17 and some other criterias are there, if you fulfill those things, then additional 50,000 rupees deduction is there. So 2 lakh you take under section 24, which is for everyone. Then additionally 50,000 rupees you can take under section 80EE. Fine. Okay, let's take one more balloon in the same line. It is section 80EEA, recently added in the previous last budget only. If you have taken loan in the year 1920, and if your loan amount is less than 45 lakh rupees, affordable house, they used to call it affordable house. So if it is less than that amount, then you can claim another 1.5 lakh rupees deductions under section 80EEA. Mind it here again that you can claim 2 lakh rupees under 24 and additional 1.5 lakh in EEA if your loan qualifies for those qualifiers. Fine. Okay, let's go next. Next balloon is on education loan. If you have taken education loan for yourself or your children dependents, then you will get this benefit. Okay, under section 80E on interest part. Okay, next is the most common one, and I hope everyone among us is aware of section 80C. Actually, when we talk about tax planning, everyone talks about section 80C only, and that was the reason why I have not started with section 80C. On this slide, actually, I wrote section 80C first, but then I decided to go for other than section 80, these two, and then some other 80 things, and then I came back to this. Okay, so 1.5 lakh is there. And what is covered here is all deductions from our salary, what is going for NPS or other BF, LIC is there, insurance is there, or PPF is there, or ELSS is there. A very big list is there. And 1.5 lakh is not very big amount that usually we reach easily. Okay, now next balloon is on section 80CCC. This is if you invest something in some pension funds offered by maybe some insurance companies or some other schemes, but for pension purpose. So you are investing every month or every year till your retirement, and after that you are going to get some return on that as insurance, as pension. So section 80CCC is there. Okay, now some question on NPS was there. So next 2-3 balloons are on NPS. So section 80CCD1, find it, CCD1 is there. What I contribute into my NPS account, National Pension Scheme account, popularly known as National New Pension Scheme. So whatever I contribute, that will be covered under section 80CCD1, my contribution, fine. And these three are, see, these three balloons are in blue colored. So upper limit altogether for this is 1.5 lakh. So any one of this or total of these all should not cross 1.5 lakh rupees. Fine. Okay. Now let's go further. Now this is section 80 CCD2. CCD2 is if it is government employee. Many of you are government employees. Government means central government or maybe state government. So government or your employer also gives some amount in your NPS account. Initially, it was 10%, but 2 years back, it was increased to 14% for central government employees, not for state governments. Fine. So whatever be the case, it may be 14% or 10%, that will be contributed by the employer. Okay. If you are central government, if you are government employee, then that whole amount is exempted, whatever be the case, 10% or 14%. That amount is exempted from tax under section 80 CCD2. Right? Okay, in between these two things, another clause is there called section 80 CCD1B. It's not one, it is 1B. And this is additional contribution in NPS over and above your 1,50,000 what you have contributed in CCD1. So additional contribution up to 50,000 rupees, 50. Up to 50,000 rupees is exempted or deductible under this. Okay. So if you are an employer, if you are covered under NPS, so contribute 50,000 rupees every year and save 50,000 rupees. 50,000 means little over 15,000 rupees tax deduction. So you invest 50,000 and 15,000 tax you are saving. So it's a good investment. You can go for this. Right? Okay, let's go further. Section TTA, it is actually not very commonly known clause, but we should know it. If you are earning any interest on your saving bank account, all of that interest is taxable. So you have to show it under income from other sources. And 10,000 rupees you can claim deduction under section 80 TTA. This is for all under age 60 years, not beyond 60 years, up to 60 years. And interest only on saving bank account, not on fixed deposits. Now, another clause is there, section 80 TTB. It is only for senior citizens. And interest earned up to 50,000 rupees on fixed deposits by senior citizen is exempted under this. So none of you is senior citizen in the group, but your parents or your relatives may be there. So inform them that this clause is there. You can claim that deduction. Now let's see next. Health insurance or medical checkup, section 80D. Section 80D is dealing with two items. One is health checkup, up to 5,000 rupees, and medical insurance. So up to 15,000 that you can claim under this. Not 15,000, different amounts are there. For individual, one amount is there. For parents included, different amount is there. If they are senior citizens, even more amount is there. So different clauses are there. Then RRB, if you have written a book and you are getting royalty, up to 3 lakh rupees, you can claim deduction under RRB, section 80 RRB. And QQB, if you are having certain patents and you are getting some patent amount for that, so up to 3 lakh rupees under QQB is exempted on that line. Okay. Someone has asked, is there any section like ATEE or EEA for financial years 17, 18 or some other years? So no, actually section 80EE was initially started sometime, if I'm not wrong, in 1516. Then it was discontinued and then again introduced. So who knows, next year again, some other year they may introduce. But as of now, only these two clauses are there. Okay, so let's go further. Time is now less, so let me go a little fast. And let us go now to retirement planning. Under retirement planning, you will see NPS. So, but retirement planning is not all about NPS only. Many other things are there. So when we talk about retirement planning, actually it needs full one session for talking only retirement planning, because 2-3 big works you have to do in this. First thing is generation of your fund. First, you have to create a fund. Then how to utilize that fund. So those two big tasks is there broadly in the retirement planning. So first step is building corpus. And second process, the second step is what to do, how to use that amount what you have accumulated in the fund. So how to take money back from that. And during that period, if you're having some more income, how to utilize that. So that you can see in this table here, how to build your corpus. You can go for provident funds. You can go for NPS. And I hope most of you are under NPS. I'm also under NPS only, National Pension Scheme. Now you can go for mutual funds and certainly go for it. Even if you are part of NPS, go for mutual fund. And I tell you one more thing. You will be a little shocked also, few of you, that NPS is nothing but a mutual fund. NPS is a mutual fund which is based on debt instruments. Mostly up to 15% equity is there, but mostly it is 75-85% is debt. But mutual fund, mutually all of us are contributing money to one fund, and that fund is investing amount. So it becomes mutual fund only. So if you are afraid of mutual funds, why you are part of NPS? Got the point? Risk is same. If you are that much worried about risk, then in mutual fund, don't go for equity securities, go for debt securities. I gave some examples, short duration, liquid overnight funds or short duration funds. So that will be their debt funds. Okay, PPF, and I hope most of you are part of PPF and other pension plan run by some other organizations. So all those are under for generating corpus. Okay, certainly go for mutual fund even if you are part of any other. Then what to do during the period? You will be getting some pension. So you can go for STP, not SIP. SIP is for investment. STP is transfer one from one account to other account. Just suppose you are having some pension you are getting. Suppose 1 lakh rupees pension you are getting, and your expenses are only say 50,000 rupees. So pension will hit your account, saving bank account, 1 lakh rupees, and 50,000 will remain idle there. You are not utilizing it. So do one thing, set one STP, systematic transfer plan. Transfer this remaining amount into a debt fund, overnight fund. Okay, it will give you a little higher return than saving bank account. So that is STP. There is one SWP also is there, systematic withdrawal plan. If you are having mutual fund, set a reminder there, set one standing instruction that every month 10,000 rupees will be sold. Mutual fund worth 10,000 will be sold, and amount will be transferred to your saving bank account. So what is happening is SIP, you are putting money into mutual fund, and SWP, you are taking back money from mutual fund. Okay, so these three things you can use. Then mutual fund, you can transfer. If you're having some additional money, transfer there. Life insurance, annuity, and all those things you can do. Rental income is there. If you're having a house, rental income is a very good source of income in post-retirement period. Fine. Okay, let's go further. And let's see some broader types of retirement plans in India. You might be aware of most of these things. I will not explain much, but let's see the picture. Broadly, we can divide all these plans into two things: defined benefit plans, defined contribution plans. Defined benefit plans are our old pension scheme was there, GPF come gratuity come retirement pension plan. That was benefit. We know what is the benefit. If you are having qualified service, then last paid drawn, half of that is pension. We know the retirement age, if you know, retirement price, you know, so you know what is your benefits. So defined benefit. Defined contribution means I know how much I have to contribute. Most of you are part of NPS. So you know 10% deduction is there. So I know how much I am contributing. I don't know how much I will get at the time of retirement. I will show you one more slide, how much we will get. Okay, so let's see what are these plans. Broadly, old pension scheme, as I named, and you are aware of this. Many of you may not be part of this. Most of you, I think, not part of this. And national pension scheme, most of us are part of this. Annuity plans are actually annuity plan. There are maybe different kind of annuity plans. After actually, frankly telling, NPS, I don't assume NPS as a pension scheme. It is not at all a pension scheme. It is just a mutual fund to create a corpus. Till 60 years of age, I am depositing some money. That money has been invested somewhere, and that is generating a big amount. Finally, that big amount will mature. It will be given back to me, and I am supposed to invest at least 40% in an annuity plan. So this amount, 40% will be transferred here. Okay, so any of this annuity I have to check. Minimum 40%. It may be more than that. Fine. Let's go further. Different pension plan from different organizers. Maybe mostly it is insurance plans. Then insurance plans also you can go for. So these are basic picture of the plans available to us for investment. Most of us are part of national pension scheme. So let's see some national pension scheme. Let's go a little fast. Only 15-20 minutes are left now. So broadly, there are 4 variants of NPS for government sector model. It is January 1, 2004 started. Then citizen model on May 1, 2009 started, and it is open to everyone. Any Indian age 18 till 60 years can open one account here. Okay. Then NPS Swabhalamban is there, which is actually for weaker section of the society, started in April 1, 2010, where government initially gave some additional contribution. And then corporate model is there, which are not falling part under these things. government sector. So some private organization may take benefit of NPS, so they may go for corporate model. Okay. Anyway, we are going to talk about first government model only. These are the main features of NPS. Let's see. Eligibility is 18 to 60 years of age. So anyone between this age can start. If he is government employees, so government through government they have to open. If he is not a government employee, then individual he can open by visiting some websites. Go to banks, you can open this. Lock-in period is 60 years. So up to 60 years of age, all your investments will be locked in. But partial withdrawal is allowed up to 25% after 3 years of opening the account. So 25 years you can withdraw. 3 times it is possible in the whole of the period. But it is little long process to withdraw the amount. Now, assets classes where this mutual fund will invest is, it may be in equity shares, it may be government bonds, it may be corporate bonds, or it may be some other alternative investments. So your money, whatever is going either of these things. Investment choices are there, active choice is there, or auto choice is there. Active choice means I tell this much percent in this and this much percent in this should be invested. So that is, I'm taking active charge on that. And auto charge is decided by government, by PFRDA, that at this age, this much will go in this and this much will go in that. Okay. Now, what is the cost? That is the main thing. It is very, very less. 0.01% is the cost. If you go for any mutual fund, they charge some 10, 15, 20 times more than this. And this NPS account is, you can open in NSDL or Carby website or some bank's website also you can open, and that is transferable also. That is the good thing in this. Okay, let's see a little fast all those features, basic features, how it works. So you have to open one NPS Tier 1 account. Now the question was there, what is Tier 1 and what is Tier 2? Tier 1 is if you are opening one NPS account, so compulsorily you are going to open Tier 1 account. Fine, where you will contribute, your salary deductions are going, and if you are government employees, so government matching amount is also coming in that. That is Tier 1 basic amount, basic account. Then in addition to that Tier 1, you can open one additional account, Tier 2 account, where voluntarily you can deposit any money, and that is withdrawable. Voluntarily, you can invest in Tier 1 also, but that will not be withdrawable. But voluntarily, if you invest in Tier 2, that will be withdrawable. Charges will be same, 0.01%, 0.001%. So savings are there, and that is withdrawable also. So that is one benefit in that. But there is no tax benefit in Tier 2. Tier 1 is having some exemptions. There is no tax in Tier 1 amount. But Tier 2, when it matures, you are supposed to pay tax on that. Okay, next is subscriber needs to contribute on regular basis in NPS account. Okay, it may be monthly, it may be yearly. Usually it is employees, so monthly reductions are going here. And if employer wants, employer may co-contribute. It may be government is compulsorily contributing. For private also it is possible. It may be up to 60 years of age. Okay, then after 60 years, when you retire, we may retire at 65 years of age, but this account will mature at 60. We can extend it to 65, but I'm assuming 60. So you can maximum withdraw 60% of the corpus. Just suppose your corpus is 1 crore rupees. So 60 lakh rupees you can withdraw in cash and do whatever you want. That will be tax exempted, right? But remaining 40%, you have to invest in an annuity plan, what I was telling in the previous slide. So compulsorily, you have to choose one annuity plan, and there you have to invest that minimum 40%. You can invest more than 40%. You can go up to 100% total amount, right? And your pension will be decided based on the amount you have invested in annuity plan, not on the amount you have generated in NPS account. Fine. And that is the reason why I say NPS is not a pension scheme. It is just a mutual fund to generate fund. Now, this annuity plan will provide you monthly pension. That depends, pre-decided thing is there. And then depending upon the chosen pension scheme, different schemes are there. Your pension may stop when the person who is insured, annuitant, dies, or it may be given to his or her spouse, or may be given back to the dependents, whatever choice you have taken. So broadly, this is the functioning of the NPS account, Tier 1 account. Tier 2 account is purely voluntary. So you invest in put any amount in voluntarily on Tier 1, Tier 2, and you can withdraw it. But tax you are supposed to pay. I hope that NPS Tier 1, Tier 2 is given. You know, yeah, someone is asking Tier 2 is automatically activated. So it is not. You have to activate, you have to apply for activation of your Tier 2 account. Tier 1 you have to open, Tier 2 you have to activate. Is there any, okay, that is given. Sir, can we withdraw from NPS during the service? I think I have already told you that up to 25% after 3 years of opening account, you can withdraw. But a long list is there for reasons you have to show you are having some medical reasons or purchasing house or some major things, events are there. Then only you can withdraw. So don't assume or don't invest there. Actually, NPS is not meant for withdrawal. It is only for retirement. If you at all want that your money should be accessible, so over and above salary deductions that you cannot do, but other thing you can invest in Tier 2 account. Okay, let's go further. Let's see advantages, and I will not take time on this. We'll go very fast on this. Time is only 10 minutes now. It is very flexible. Flexible in the sense that you are working for employer 1, open account with employer 1, and after some time you transfer to employer 2, or you left this job or transfer to some other place, or you got a better job. So transfer same account from this employer to this employer. Just inform NPS and everything to your employer and all, and same account will continue, only employer will change. Okay, after some time you resign from the post, and you keep on continuing your contribution, no matching amount is coming anyway, that will continue. There may be your sons or daughters or your brothers or sisters of 18, 19, 20 years of age, open one NPS account in their name. Finally, they will get some government job after 10 years, 5 years, 7 years. So they need to open one NPS account. They can tell same number to them, NPS account, and that will become government account after that. So it is very, very flexible. You can shift to any city within India. That will keep on functioning. That is really very good thing. It is very simple to understand. Tier 1, Tier 2 initially looks very complicated, but it is a mutual fund. You deposit money that will invest it somewhere and that will generate return. It is very, very portable. Anywhere, as I was telling, from one state government to other state government, from one state government to central government, or from central government to state government, or from any government to private organizers, or to individual. Everything, all portability is given here. So on this ground, NPS is very good. It is very well regulated by PFRDA, Provident Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. And we are very lucky to be in India that all the regulators, whether it is RBI for banking, whether it is SEBI for capital market, whether it is PFRDA for pension fund, these all are actually very good in regulating the market. That's why many scams we are not seeing if it is properly regulated. Okay. Okay, then power of compounding, you get benefits. Compounding, you know the concept, interest over interest. So money is invested, it generates some income, and that also is invested. So interest over interest you are getting. Low cost, I already told 0.001 is there. It is very, very safe because it's completely controlled by PFRDA, and PFRDA is working on the guidelines of government. And it is very, very transparent. Every month, anytime your account is given to you, you can open your account and you can see what are the transactions there. Okay, so it is very, very transparent in that case. All these are very, very good things in NPS. Okay, now let's see exit plans. How or in what cases I can exit from NPS plan. Time is little less now. So one thing is on superannuation. I retire at age of 60, so I will discontinue from this. So minimum 40% I have to invest in a place, annuity plan. Minimum, I can go for more than that, and remaining I can withdraw. Fine. If my total accumulation is less than 2 lakhs, so I can withdraw full amount and go out of this under first. Now, second is premature exit. If I want to take exit before achieving 60 years of age, then compulsorily 80% of total fund will be compounded or invested in annuity plan. At maximum, only 20% you can withdraw. So don't take retirement at the age of 59. Wait till 60 years if you want to get benefit of withdrawal. Okay. But in this case, if your total accumulation is 1 lakh, then 100% you can withdraw and go out of this. And third thing is that if the person under NPS dies, then as per his choice, whatever he has chosen, it will be 100% amount will be given back to the dependent, the nominee of. Okay. Now, some other exit plans. What are those exits? Country continue to NPS. I retired or anyone retired at 60 years of age, but he feels that he is having some other source of income, need not withdraw the amount. So he can continue the account till 70 years of age. Okay. So that is given the choice. Then deferment of annuity or deferment of lump sum that you can do. You can stop investing there, but you don't withdraw the amount and you are not starting your annuity also. That may remain up to 70 years of age, means 10 additional years. It will generate income, whatever is coming. But after that, you can take 40 and 60% what we used to do in earlier. So you can defer taking amount, but no investment here. Here, your investment continues. Here, no investment. And third thing is the normal thing, you start with. Okay, you transfer minimum 40% and accordingly your pension will start. Okay, now these are the four broad categories of annuity allowed or available for us to choose with. First thing is annuity for life. So if just suppose my case, so I will, if after retirement, till then I will survive 80 years, 90 years, 230 years, whatever. Till then, my annuity will be paid. And as soon as I die, things will be ceased. No amount will be paid to anyone. Now, second category is annuity for life with return of purchase price. So on my life, so till I survive, I will be getting pension. And when I die, then that purchase price, whatever annuity amount was there, that will be paid back to the dependents. But pension will be lesser here. I will explain you next slide. Annuity payable for life with 100% annuity payable to spouse on death. So the person who got annuity till his survival, payment will be there, and if he dies, then his or her wife or husband, his spouse, will continue getting same pension. And when they also he or she also dies, then it will cease to exist. No amount will be paid. And fourth is annuity payable for life with 100% payable to a spouse, same thing. And extension is after death of both the partners, then the purchase price will be paid to the dependent. Okay, so those are four broad categories of all annuities available. Only few more slides are there now, so I hope I will be finishing in next 5-7 minutes only. This is one picture I have taken from this particular website. If you want, you can check it here. This gives one small picture if you want to compare that if you invest one amount, 1 lakh rupees, so what will be your pension? Okay, so for 1 lakh rupees, these four categories are there, what we discussed in the previous slide. So if you go for annuity payable to only your life, your pension will be 713 rupees for 1 lakh rupees. Okay, if it is 100% to spouse also, means whosoever lives longer, your pension will be little lesser, 612. If it is annuity plan for life with return of, so only annuitant's life is insured, his pension till then, and then money will be paid back to the dependents. It is little lesser for 5 to 7 rupees per 1 lakh rupees. Your amount will be in crores, don't worry about it. And 100% annuity to spouse with return of principal. So both parents, both partners, when they both of them dies, then the nominee will be getting 524 rupees. Okay, so depending on this, you have to choose either of these. My suggestion is either you choose this one or you choose this one. The spouse must be covered under this plan. Right? But choice is up to you. You have to compare different plans and then you have to choose it. Okay. Now let's take one more one example that I have calculated. Hypothetical figures are there. Based on that, some calculation is there, and it will give you a real picture whether we can rely completely on NPS fund or not. Okay, let's see. These are my assumptions. Basic pay and DA, I'm assuming 60,000 rupees. Basic pay and DA per month. Initial pay of assistant professors are nearby this amount only, rounded off, with 10% of this is 6,000. I'm assuming 10% government is paying. For central government, it is 15 and 14%, but for state government, it is still 10%. So I'm taking 10%. So 6%, 6,000 of mine and 6,000 of government. Together, 12,000 is invested. I'm assuming that every year it will increase by 11%. 11% includes annual increment and 2 DA, dearness allowances. So 3 times salary increases. So my contribution will also increase in these 3 ways. So I'm assuming that every year it will increase by 11%. I'm assuming 30 years current age. I'm assuming retirement is 60 years. And again, I'm assuming it is giving me 12% return. It is little higher. If I see since beginning till now, the return generated by NPS is nearly 10%. I'm assuming 12% little higher. If, just I wanted to approach a figure which is round. So I took 12%. So this will generate you 7.5 crore rupees. Very big amount, isn't it? Must be very happy to see this amount. Let's see whether happiness remains with us or not. By the end, this slide will be over. So NPS is 7.5 crore rupees, same amount I'm using here. Okay. Then what two choices I told I'm having? Either I can maximum withdraw for 60,000 and annuity for 40% I go, or I can increase my annuity plan. But minimum 40 I have to go for. Okay, so I'm taking two cases, two extreme cases. I'm withdrawing all 60% and only 40% is going for annuity. Or second thing, I'm not withdrawing anything and all are going for annuity. Okay. Now, in first case, if I'm withdrawing amount, my monthly pension will be 2,21,376, a big amount. And if I go for 100% annuity, then 5.5 lakh rupees monthly pension will be there. You must be very happy with this amount. But the problem is inflation. I used to call inflation is the biggest villain in the journey of personal finance. Amrish Puri or Gabbar Singh of this plan. Let's see how will they play. This plan, this monthly pension you are not getting today. These two amount, whatever is there, this you will get after 30 years, from 30 to 60 years is okay. So after 30 years, this 2,21,000 will be worth same as 29 lakh rupees only, 1,000 rupees only, not 2 lakh. And your 5.5 lakh is worth only 72,700 rupees. So good enough, no problem. 72,000 you can easily survive. Good enough amount is there. But that will not remain like that. There is no DA. There is no increment in case of NPS. Same fixed amount you will keep on getting. You will survive for 10 more years. And when you reach 60, 70 years of age, this you will keep on getting 2,21,000, but that will be worth only 14,700. Your 5.5 lakh will be worth only 37,000 rupees. Now 37,000 will be difficult to survive, isn't it? But our life is even longer. We'll go up to 80 years, beyond 80 years. So after 80 years, your pension under first case is worth only 7,500. And under second case, when 100% annuity you are going, it is only 18,000, less than 19,000. So that is not going to be enough for all. Okay. So this slide I am showing you only to make you aware that don't get attracted by these two big amounts. These two big amounts are only marketing gimmicks. Very big amount you will be having, but finally over the period that will not remain that big. So be aware, be little careful of that. And that I have taken based on this annuity plan. Different annuity plans are there with some other features. So I have taken one plan only here. Okay, that's all. This is my last slide today. That is just summary of what we have discussed today. If you see, we talked about my personal income. What happened? My personal income, where to save, where to invest, my financial protection, my retirement, and tax planning. So all those things are roughly presented in this. Actually, this is one center spread page of Outlook Money book. So I find it very interesting and very informative. So I took it and posting it here. So what I have discussed today is much more than that, but this is just indicative. For tax, only section 80C they have covered, but many other things I told. Short-term, medium-term, and long-term investments are there. So all those things what we discussed today are being covered under this one small picture. Fine. So that's all for the presentation from my side. I hope I have already answered many of your questions. But still, if you are having any question, you can ask now, although we have already crossed the time limit. There is no additional question in the question and answer box. So if any question is there, you can ask or we may discontinue. Any question? There was one question I think I skipped somehow. This was the benefits of NPS on for retirement plan. So that I already explained, I think, what are the benefits for retirement. Okay, rest all I think I have answered whatever is posted here. Okay, any other question? I think not. So